Safari?
Yeah,
Chrome.
Safari.
I'm on Chrome. I'm chroming it up.
I'm on Safari because I want Hangouts to not crash.
I'm chroming my face. Witness me.
Witness me!
Yeah, after last week's Chrome update, I've, so far, knock wood,
Not risking it.
I've had no issue. Well, you know, that's the safer way to go, for sure.
Yeah.
What if it turns out it's just because it was running on Flash all this
I
time?
like to live on the edge. If you would like to know the history of baby carrots, check out the pre-show available in the DTNS treasure chest.
Baby. Hey, Mr. Baby. Baby carrot.
Mr. Carrot.
I actually want to do a podcast, like I have time to do another podcast, but I actually want to do a podcast today called False History, where like
I know. I discussed that with you.
Yeah, no, I've discussed it with probably both of you before, but you just go into the history of things, but without any actual research, just making stuff.
Right.
Well, but you want to do it in such a way it actually sounds incredibly plausible.
It's an improv challenge, essentially.
Yeah. It's kind of like Taffy coming from Howard Taft. That was just his thing. Like, for example, people don't realize, and this is true, this actually isn't made up, the teddy bear came from Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah. During his campaign, he did these little bear things with his Teddy Roosevelt, and so the name stuck, and so we have teddy bears today.
The Cincinnati Reds, for instance, were originally owned by the Soviet Union.
The New York Giants once were actually composed entirely a team of baseball-playing giant humanoids.
Yeah. No, they weren't like 10 feet tall, but they were like 7 to 8. They were big.
Yeah, and then when they moved to San Francisco, they decided that, there weren't enough giants out here on the West Coast, so they just used regular men.
Which is ironic because in today's terms, they were actually kind of short because they all averaged about 5'7".
Mm-hmm.
But back when nutrition was very poor and the average common man was only 5 feet tall.
Roger is such a nerd that he can't even do fake facts for the fake.
No, I think he's actually like
I totally made everything up, but that's the whole point.
Right. Yeah.
You got to do it with a straight face and make it,
That was real. Nutrition has gotten better and people have gotten
used
taller.
a real fact to then say that's why they were considered giants back then.
I see. Okay, but that was almost too real.
Yeah.
Too real.
Too real. Too soon.
Too real.
All right, let's get going on the show here.
Disappearing.
We really should just do all of this as a podcast, all the pre-show.
I mean, it essentially is. A lot of it's on the video for people who watch the video, and then the other pre-shows in the audio and the treasure chest, so we don't waste it. We waste no part of the podcast. We use every bit.
Okay.
Here we go.
One person can't make a difference. But all of us together on Patreon, we can. Daily Tech News Show relies on your support, and every little helps. Please give generously. dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Leap Day, February 29th, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt, joining me from Engadgets, Dear Veronica, and so many other things, Sword and Laser, etc. Ms. Veronica Belmont, how are you?
We have an extra day. How are we going to make the best use of our extra day?
I consider this day an abomination. It is unholy. Like, it's a day, like next year I won't have this day. I can't celebrate it's been a year since Veronica and I did DTNS talking about Leap Day, because it won't exist.
It won't exist. It never existed.
I'm sorry, I do not mean any insults to people born on February 29th who are, for the first time in 4 years, celebrating your birthday on the right day.
Also abominations. So.
But no, they're not. They're not abominations, as long as they back the show. Hey, we're going to talk about augmented reality. Is Microsoft making an abomination?
Expensive augmented reality.
That's what we're going to talk about, and how they launched their developer edition pre-orders on a Leap Day. So did HTC Vive. That's all in the headlines. Let's get there first. Microsoft began taking orders Monday for its $3,000 HoloLens Development Edition. It will start shipping or launching or whatever they call it on March 30th in the United States and Canada, but you have to be an approved developer to be able to give them the money and get the hardware. If you are approved, the hardware includes the headset, a charger, Bluetooth 4.1 controller, some people call it a clicker, carrying case, a microfiber cloth, just comes with your glasses, and some replacement nose pieces. Microsoft corporate VP Kudo Tsunoda blogged that the game Fragments, a crime drama, a game called Young Conquer, a platformer, and Robo Raid, a first-person shooter, will be included on the hardware. or with the hardware. Other software included will be Holo Studio, we knew that, an enhanced version of Skype, we've seen that, and Holo Tour for 360-degree displays. A storytelling app called Actiongram will come out this summer. Thanks to Scott Pantall for submitting this on the subreddit.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk more about this, especially the Skype stuff is kind of cool, but we will discuss that later in the show as well.
Yeah,
and to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of the launch of the first Raspberry Pi, the Foundation launched a new Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi 3 has a 64-bit 1.2 gigahertz ARM Cortex A53 chip, 1 gigabyte of 900 megahertz RAM with built-in 802.11n Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth 4.1 for $35 or €30. It also requires
£30.
It also requires 2.5 amps of power, and thanks to steveiO for submitting this over on the subreddit.
So does this mean every leap day we'll get a new Raspberry Pi, like every 4 years? This is pretty cool. Nice processor boost. They're still only running a 32-bit OS, but they put the 64-bit chip in there because the 32-bit OS runs so much better. And then you've got the 64-bit chip to play around with if you want to.
If they just had waited 2 more weeks, they could have launched the Raspberry Pi on March 14th.
March 14th. You would
think.
And then
they wouldn't.
But then why did they originally launch on February 29th then?
Why?
Because they didn't want to wait 2
weeks.
weeks.
They could have had Pi Day be the launch date of the Raspberry Pi.
Wait 2 weeks? I know, that is pretty brilliant though. Also, make you Pi fans who say I didn't want to wait 2 more weeks for it, get a little upgrade to your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4.1 built in. That's pretty awesome. Congratulations. Apple General Counsel Bruce Sewell published the opening statement he will make to the U.S. Congress tomorrow when he testifies in front of the House Judiciary Committee. Sewell's focusing in his opening statement on 3 main questions. Should we limit the technology that secures our data? Should the FBI be allowed to stop a company from making its products as safe and secure as they believe they can? A little bit of a loaded question there. And should the FBI be able to compel a company to make a product to the FBI's specifications for the FBI's use, which pertains specifically to the court case in San Bernardino?
Ugh. Every new thing just makes me increasingly more angry.
And we're going to get more from James Comey tomorrow, too. So
did we talk about what a nut job Piers Morgan is?
No, I don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest.
Oh, we'll talk about this later. He suddenly is a technology expert, apparently, and understands
Everyone is on this story, yeah.
It's related, trust me.
I believe it.
Sony has updated its Japanese product page for the PlayStation TV to indicate it has stopped shipping the mini console in Japan. The PS TV plays Vita and PS1 and remote play games, and thanks to Motang for submitting this over on the subreddit.
I never quite understood the PlayStation TV, and maybe that's the cord killers host in me going, but it doesn't really focus on TV. It's just games, but not PlayStation games. So, I don't know. It's not a surprise to me that they might be shutting this down.
Seems a little extraneous.
Yeah. I mean, if they'd really pushed it as like a Roku competitor, with the idea of like, hey, but our game store has PS1 games and the ability to play real PlayStation games with remote play, I don't know, that could have been interesting, but...
Well, not happening. Too bad.
Yeah. The Verge passes along a report from The Economist writer Mark Harris on Twitter that one of Google's self-driving Lexuses had a low-speed collision with a bus in Mountain View, California, and for the first time, Google did not claim that the collision was not its fault. Every other collision Google has reported has said it wasn't our fault. They didn't say whose fault it was in this filing.
They don't deny fault.
No, they don't assign or deny.
Yes.
Here's what happened. The self-driving car was moving at about 2 miles per hour from the right turn lane into the center lane in order to go around some sandbags that were in the road, on the side of the road, and it made contact with the side of a bus which had been traveling at 15 miles per hour and did not slow down as the car started to change lanes. That damaged the Google car's left front fender, left front wheel, and one driver's side sensor. No injuries were reported. It was a very low-speed collision, and apparently the driver of the car said that he saw the bus coming in the rearview mirror but sort of assumed it was going to slow down as the car changed lanes.
So I wonder how that happened. So the driver because all of the Google cars, when they're self-driving around right now, need to have a human in the car with them. That's part of the rule. And so the driver tell the car it was okay to continue Like,
No,
wouldn't
he
the car
didn't
have
hear me.
sensed?
Like the car was just doing it, and the attendant was like, "Well, I think this is going to be okay." And I guess the car didn't appropriately estimate the bus's speed or something.
Yeah, but
That actually is the question. Like, why didn't the sensor notice the bus coming
yeah.
at 15 miles an hour and hold off?
That is 100% my question, because
Yeah.
I feel as though you can never anticipate what another driver is doing. You always have to be driving defensively. And
Yeah.
so for the car to assume that the bus was not going to slow down, and for the driver to assume the bus was going to slow down, is not good driving, period.
Yeah, and I get why the attendant, the human in the car,
Yeah.
might think the bus would slow down. That's a
It's
mistake.
fallible,
It's an
yeah.
understandable mistake. I get why the bus driver who's driving along, seeing this thing going 2 miles an hour, is like, well, it's not gonna pull out. It's going too slow. I'm a bus. I need to keep the schedule. Is not gonna slow down. And he had the right of way. The bus had the right of way anyway. So yeah, I'm curious what made the self-driving car, which is notoriously over-conservative, continue with its move.
Unless the driver really was in control and doesn't want to admit.
Oh, the logs will show.
Yeah. I want the logs to bear out what actually happened here.
Conspiracy theory, yeah.
I think Google's hedging its bets right now and is like, well, we're not going to say whose fault it was until we really know whose fault it was.
Maybe that's why the filing doesn't say anything. Interesting.
Yeah. All right. HTC started taking pre-orders for the HTC Vive today for $799, 689 pounds, or $899 Australian. Shipping is coming in April, expected to start April 5th. In addition to the headset, you get 2 wireless motion controllers, 2 Lighthouse base stations, and a breakout box for connecting everything. For a limited time, buyers will get 3 free VR apps too: puzzle game Fantastic Contraption, Job Simulator, and 3D art game Tilt Brush. Job Simulator is amazing, by the way.
Yeah. Have you played it?
It's pretty fun.
Because it simulates like in a world where the robots do everything, right? That's the idea.
I think so. Maybe I'm thinking of a chef game I played, which I thought was Job Simulator, because my job was being a chef, and all I did was take orders and make food. It was actually really fun.
Well, I can't wait to try this out. I did order one for DTNS to take a look at, and it didn't give me a ship date. It said it will let me know once shipping is arranged, and I'm like, okay, so I don't know if I'm going to get it April 5th. The EU and the United States published the final text of their data transfer agreement that they refer to as Privacy Shield. This replaces the old Safe Harbor agreement. The deal sets rules for companies who store European data in the United States. Among those rules are that U.S. intelligence services will follow European rules when surveilling European data. A U.S. State Department ombudsman will be set up to handle complaints about such matters. Europeans can file the complaints with their local data protection authorities or use an individual company's alternative dispute resolution. Companies must resolve complaints within 45 days. There's a European panel that can make binding decisions if resolution of problems fails, and the agreement must be approved by an EU committee and the Article 29 Working Party of European Data Protection Authorities before it's actually accepted. So the whole thing could still fall apart if the data protection authorities don't like it.
Interesting. Amazon announced a deal with Morrisons in the UK. This is cool, to add hundreds of products to Amazon's pantry service, which allows Amazon Prime customers to order grocery store items for next-day delivery. Morrisons items will also be available through the one-hour delivery service Prime Now, available in select cities.
Yeah, this is interesting in lots of ways, one of which is Amazon kind of partnering with a brick-and-mortar store in a way that benefits that brick-and-mortar store. So Morrisons is going to sell more things now, have a little bit of brand awareness, and even get a change in a deal they have with a third party that handles their own delivery. Morrisons has its own delivery service, so they can get some more flexibility there. So it's kind of a win for Morrisons and Amazon.
Yeah, I wonder if this will start happening in U.S. stores as well. That would be great.
Yeah.
Keeping those brick-and-mortar stores open.
Seriously, 1 hour delivery of groceries is already possible from Google and everything, but for some reason, because it's Amazon, I feel like more people will take advantage.
Yeah, but I can do that with Instacart too. So this sounds like this is coming up against Instacart in a major way, because they're already working with, well, not working with technically, kind of working with a lot of the brick and mortar stores here. They kind of did it under the radar at Trader Joe's and got booted out because they have their own delivery service in certain cities. Not San Francisco, though, by the way. So that kind of teed me off. But it does work really well with Whole Foods and a couple other smaller stores around the city that, like Buy Right, for example, that aren't national or even state chains. So it's really nice to be able to have that convenience factor. So it seems like that's what Amazon is really going towards now.
It's actually Amazon. If Amazon's crushing anyone in this scenario, it's the little startup apps that want to do these kinds of grocery store delivery for you.
Instacart's
not the actual
big
grocery
enough. They can
stores.
handle themselves at this point. I don't feel too bad for them.
BizTech Africa reports that Terraco, the continent's only vendor-neutral data center, will add to its existing operation to make it the largest data center in Africa. The Asando facility in South Africa will have 9,000 square meters of white space and 18,500 square meters of utility space with a 16 megavolt amp power connection. When the addition is completed, should be operational by the end of the year.
Awesome. That's great. Snapchats, live stories, sometimes collect chats from various locations or events so you can see what everybody has been snapping, kind of like Instagram's special event stuff that they also do. Last night, it unsurprisingly had an Oscars live story, but you didn't have to have the Snapchat app to see it. For the first time, Snapchat put one of its live stories on the web at snapchat.com/live. So is this a sign of things to come? Is Snapchat going to be more web-friendly?
That's a really interesting move because you do it for the Oscars because you know a lot of people are into the Oscars who might not have Snapchat. So the idea is to get people to see, like, hey, if you had the app, you could be looking at stuff like this. Isn't this cool? You should download the app. So it's very much meant to bring people into the app. But sometimes those sorts of features that start out meant for one thing can get a life of their own. I think it would be interesting if there was a page I could go on any browser, no matter what device I have, and just see, like, this is the world right now via Snapchat. Like, I don't know. It feels like there could be so much more going on.
It's somewhat telling that they finally launched username URLs recently.
Yeah.
And now this web stuff is coming, so potentially we'll be able to share and actually have people stream our Snapchat stories on the web.
It's almost like an open standard like HTML does end up being a good choice for things.
Yeah, who knew?
Who knew? I think Tim Berners-Lee did. Meanwhile, Razer and the Open Source VR Alliance, or OSVR, have their first game titles for the OSVR's Steam VR compatible development kit. The titles are Half-Life 2, Team Fortress 2 Elite, Team Fortress 2 Elite Dangerous, Spermination, and Live for Speed. If you're like, what? I want these things, you can actually pick up a Razer OSVR Hacker Dev Kit for $300.
Awesome. Yeah, that is going to be fun.
And that is a dev kit price that most people can take advantage of.
More on that.
Or at least many people can. And yeah, I think people forget all about this Razer OSVR thing. So getting some big name Valve titles on that platform is pretty cool. That is it for our headlines, folks. Submit some stories to us at our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. It definitely helps us put together our lineup every day. Get in there and vote. And even, like, on the weekends, I just look at the subreddit to see, like, what kinds of things bubbling up to the top of people's minds. It's really interesting. Nice. Do that every day, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And that is a look at the headlines. All right, so Windows Insiders, if you're already joined as a Windows Insider, you're good. If you're not, you got to sign up to be a Windows Insider. Then, as a Windows Insider, you get to apply and say, hey, I want to use HoloLens Dev Kit for this. And then if Microsoft signs off on you and says, okay, yeah, no, we think that's a good development use of the HoloLens, then you get to give them $3,000, and they will start shipping you a Dev Kit March 30th.
So yeah, this seems like, we were joking about it a little bit earlier, but it's significantly more expensive than, like, the Oculus dev kits, for example, which I think were around the $300 price range or so. And so this must be catered to studios. I mean, this can't be for personal developers. I mean, clearly they're going a slightly different route.
Yeah, I think they're looking for, if I read the developer pitch correctly on their website, I think Microsoft is going for developers of all sizes. They do want some indie developers, so they're not making it be like, you have to have an enterprise level agreement with us in an NDA, or there probably is an NDA involved, but you know what I mean? Like, they're making it more open so that it's not just big companies that already have a relationship with Microsoft, but it's $3,000, so an individual who's like just getting started is probably not going to want to plunk out for this.
Yeah, and then of course it is the difference between AR versus VR. HoloLens is definitely more is on the augmented reality side of the spectrum, and some of the stuff looks really pretty great. I mean, we use Skype a lot for podcasting and for calls and meetings, and the HoloLens Skype stuff looks amazing. So you have a conversation. Go, what were you gonna say?
No, I'm just gonna agree. Like, when I first saw Skype, I was like, oh, so they're gonna hover a pane in front of me. How's that gonna be so cool, other than it being? But yeah, you're right. Explain what it does.
So you can you get in a call, and you can the viewer, you can give them the opportunity to see what you're actually looking at. So say I needed some computer help, I could stick you in my field of vision off to the left, or stick you to the wall or whatever, so I could look back at you when you were talking to me. But you could then see exactly what I'm looking at. So you could see the computer screen I was looking at. You could see, if I was trying to build something with my hands, you could see what I was doing with my hands in that moment without me having to move the camera around. And so I just think it's a phenomenal way. I mean, that's next level tech support right there. I mean, that's going to be amazing for never mind. I was going to say helping my mom fix computer stuff. Why would she? She would never have a HoloLens.
Helping someone, friends and relatives. Fix
Yeah,
Well, and the example they show in the video was fixing a light switch that was broken, and that is a really good illustration of what they did with Skype that's different than just hanging the video call in front of you, which is, I don't have to have a HoloLens. I could be on a tablet, I could be on a laptop, whatever, but I can draw on the screen like a telestrator, and the person wearing the HoloLens sees what I'm drawing show up across what I'm looking at. So you could say, like, draw an arrow, and like, that's the screw you need to unlock, and then take this red wire and wrap it around like that, and it's a lot easier to figure out what you need to do next.
How many HoloLens does it take to change a light bulb? I think is the question.
Just the one. Because the other person doesn't have to have a HoloLens.
No. But yeah, the games look pretty crazy, especially Minecraft in HoloLens just looks phenomenal from what we've seen of it so far, being able to just like build on your couch or build on your floor, and then it goes up to your couch, and then it does all this.
And those aren't, Minecraft's not coming with the development kit, which I was a little disappointed with. But the ones that are, I think the one that really got me, I don't know, Fragments, which is the crime drama where people like show up and sit on your couch, like virtual people, and walk around, and like they hide clues under your furniture, so you have to move your furniture to see them. That's pretty crazy. But then Young Conquer is just a platformer. It's the little squirrel from Rare, if you've ever played any of the Conquer games, and he's running around in your house. And so they pointed out, like, if you're having problem with a level, you can rearrange your house to make the level easier.
This is going to open up whole new levels of creativity and nerdiness, and I'm very excited about it. I'm not sure which I'm more excited for, like augmented reality technologies or virtual reality technologies. I think they both have huge upsides, but they're going to be expensive to buy multiple kits of that kind. So what do you think is going to take off more?
I think it's interesting. If everything else is equal, like the hardware works as advertised, it becomes affordable, etc., it's compatible with enough devices, augmented reality might have the edge because they can do virtual reality without having to impede you as much. So one of the things that ships with the dev kit for HoloLens is HoloTour, which just immerses you in a 3D trip. It's exactly the same kind of thing you can do with an Oculus Rift or a HTC Vive, but you do it in HoloLens. It just blacks out everything else around you. But then it can, without HTC Vive relies on these whole sensors to like let you see the world around you within it, so it does a little bit of that augmented reality. But HoloLens is already built to do that by default, so that can happen naturally as part of the environment. And then you can do these other things that are in real life, which I think are totally mind-blowing. Like the idea of saying like, I can't make that jump. Maybe I'll just put some phone books under my coffee table. Now I can make the jump. It's crazy. So I feel like augmented reality gives you a little more flexibility because it can kind of do virtual reality as well.
Here's another question. Do you think we're going to see more physical therapy appointments based on people wearing 2-pound devices on their necks?
Yeah, the HoloLens is 579 grams. That's a pound and a third, roughly. So that's not as bad, but still.
That's more pounds than you have on your head now.
Exactly. And Microsoft mouse is not terribly heavy, but it can sure give you wrist problems if you repetitively stress your wrist out.
That's right. I'm just
saying. So you
saying,
think we're going to get carpal tunnel of the neck?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, okay. Well, we'll talk. We'll cross that bridge. We'll cross that neck.
That'd be cervical tunnel. I'm trying to think.
Did we go over the specs yet for the dev kit?
Yeah. So they released the full specs of the dev kit. They still won't tell us what the processor is. They call it a holographic processing unit. Does that sound like BS to you? That just sounds like they made up a name. Yeah.
Like, I love that that's a thing.
The 32-bit HPU, 2 gigs of RAM, 802.11ac, Bluetooth 4.1, USB 2 ports, not USB 3. I was a little bit disappointed about that. 64 gigabytes of onboard storage, which probably is plenty since you're really just streaming most of the stuff through a computer. 60 hertz refresh rate, 16.9 light engines, 2 of them, 1 for each eye. They have a bunch of thousands of light points. They don't really define what those are, but they say 2,500 light points per radian. So whatever the light points are, there's 2,500 of them per radian. They have 4 cameras that sense the environment, 1 that senses depth for depth maps, a 2-megapixel camera for photos and video, 4 microphones, an ambient light sensor, what they call an inertial measurement unit, which basically combines gyroscope and accelerometer, and they're estimating 2 to 3 hours of battery life at active use too.
Well, what are we thinking about that 2-megapixel camera for photos and video?
Yeah, that's
just dev kit. Like, we're too lazy to put in a better camera, or
maybe. I mean, they're obviously not trying to keep the price down, so it's not that. But maybe they just didn't want to bother splashing out on a 5-megapixel camera. Because I mean, you should have at least a 5 when this thing ships to consumers. I don't think HoloLens needs to have the ability to take like great DSLR level pictures, but a little bit better than 2 would be nice. I feel like they're saying like, well, we need a decent enough camera for the Skype video to look decent. And that's all.
Well, I'm excited. I'm not going to shell out $3,000, nor would I probably be approved. But
exactly. I don't think I would be allowed to give them the $3,000, even if I wanted to. But
I am stoked to see what people come up with.
Yeah, so we're a couple of years away from this becoming a consumer product, is what this tells me. But I do like that Microsoft's being a little more transparent. You know, we're making fun of them for making people approved to have $3,000 dev kits, but that sort of stuff has happened a lot in the past. We just didn't know about it. People didn't make it public. They go privately to their own developers. So casting the net a little wider, so maybe you can get some smaller devs that you wouldn't have discovered otherwise on board, is a cool thing. And I can't wait to see, once this ships, what people come up with to work with.
I can't remember how much they were, but back when I used to work for the PlayStation magazine, the PlayStation dev kits were very expensive and they were huge.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how much they were, but I mean, if you got a PlayStation 3 dev unit in advance, I mean, that was a big deal, and that was like way under wraps. So that was a lot of this has happened before and will continue to happen.
I mean, can you imagine? Just a side thought: if Google had required approval, well, I guess they did require approval, but it just didn't. It felt like anybody could get Google Glass, even though it was $1,500 and ridiculously expensive. Like, they should have really pitched it more as a developer's kit, because they created some unnecessary expectations, I think.
Right.
All right, our pick of the day is a quick pick from Preston, aka BioCal, for you science geeks out there. You a science geek, Veronica?
Yeah, I would say so.
I call myself a science geek. Preston says, do you recognize the names Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye? Well, yes, of course. Yes. How about Sir Martin Polyakov or Michio Kaku? I recognize those, too.
I know Michio Kaku.
Yeah. Ever watched YouTube channels Minute Physics or Smarter Every Day? If any of these ring a bell, you should check out a great book called Stuff Matters, Exploring the Marvelous Materials That Shape Our Man-Made World by Mark Miodownik. I'm going to make a guess that that's the pronunciation. It's Miodownik, spelled Miodownik. In this book, Mark takes a close look at common materials of every day that you may think are and then dives into the physics and chemistry that make them secretly amazing. He elegantly answers seemingly simple questions like why glass is transparent, how cement goes from a powder to a solid mass, and the history of China, the dishware, not the country, and what makes it so sturdy. Even if you know some of the material that he covers in this book already, Mark covers it in an interesting and entertaining way, and it makes for a great read. Stuff Matters is available at bookstores and Amazon or on audible.com, which is how BioCow enjoyed it.
Nice.
We'll have a link to that in our show notes, too, at dailytechnewsshow.com. Send your picks to us, folks. We want your picks. What do you think is good? Let us know. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. A couple of emails. You want to read a couple of emails here? I got one.
Yeah. Do you want me to read one?
You can read the next one after this.
Okay.
Christopher says, I have had eero for about a week now. The only problem I have had is one of my units is bricked, and the response time is not great. So that's not awesome. But otherwise, he said, the other two units are working great. I'm lucky enough to have areas on each end of my house so I could hardwire the units. This has fixed my Wi-Fi even without having the third unit. When I get the third unit, I'll drop it in the middle of the house, and I can't imagine how good it'll be. With the two units, I have had zero issues streaming movies and TV from my video server to all my Apple TVs, current and last generation, before I would buffer forever. So definitely love an eero, even if he's not loving the speed of the customer support for his bad unit. I like this because he has had a bad situation that he could go crazy and just rant about and hate the whole company, but he's like, it's actually just still a pretty good product.
The product is still amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got 4 of them for around the house, and so far so good. There was some kind of issue where we're not getting the speeds we can get. I mean, our speeds are still very fast, but they're not as fast as they could be. So I think we're experiencing some kind of bottleneck somewhere, and we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I wonder if there's more learning and maybe a few firmware upgrades that need to happen, because when I first installed mine, I was getting full 300 megabits per second symmetrical, which is the business fiber account that I pay for, over Wi-Fi. I've never gotten that over Wi-Fi before, so I was super impressed. Then I think it was Friday, the unit I had in my living room suddenly gave me an error and said it couldn't connect to the other two. So I repositioned it so that it had a little better connection, and then it worked out better. But Eileen and I have noticed less than 10% of the time kind of weird connectivity issues that we weren't having before. So when it connects, it's super fast for us, but it's not always consistent.
Yeah, sometimes I've noticed my phone maybe isn't picking up the Wi-Fi when it should, and some of our connected home stuff we have to like reset because it all kind of decided to stop working. I'm not sure if that's typical, but
Yeah, that's not good.
Well, I will report more when I have more information. This is just stuff I heard Ryan complaining to their support team about over the phone.
Yeah, and we've only had them for what, 4 or 5 days now?
Yeah. Less than a week.
Like that, so yeah. More to come. But thank you, Christopher, for that.
All right. The next email comes from Harry, the airline pilot, who says, Tom, I know the subject of AI moral decision-making in self-driving cars has been discussed many times. Most people seem to think it is a trivial problem and it will just get worked out. I'm not so sure. Here is a particularly well-written article on that subject.
Yeah, and it's by Andrew Heikala. Again, apologies if that's not the proper pronunciation. And he's talking about things like the famous trolley problem. Are you familiar with the trolley problem?
I'm not, but he's also referring to the Kobayashi Maru.
He gets you into it by bringing up the Kobayashi Maru, the no-win scenario. But the trolley problem is like a real-life version of the Kobayashi Maru. It's basically there's a runaway trolley coming, and you can either kill one person and save the people on the trolley, or save the one person, but everybody on the trolley dies. And so the question is, like, are you willing to sacrifice? And those of you who've really studied the trolley problem and saying, Tom, that's not exactly right, I'm way oversimplifying it.
Spider-Man is able to save all the people, by the way.
Right, exactly. The idea is you're not Spider-Man, so you're going to have to sacrifice someone in this scenario in order to save someone else. And his point in this article is, how do we program computers to do that in a way that doesn't cause controversy, because somebody dies in that.
Well, this is absolutely. This is if the self-driving car is speeding towards a cliff, and it either has the option to veer into oncoming traffic
Right.
and potentially kill the oncoming traffic vehicle, or take everybody in the car over the cliff. What does it decide to do? I think that's one of the examples that have been floating around about self-driving cars for a while now.
Now, he says in a study where they asked people about this, people generally want the driverless car to sacrifice the occupant in favor of saving the higher number of lives, unless they're in the self-driving car. Of course.
Yeah, how would the self-driving car know how many people it was going to kill in the other car?
That's a good question. Like, I mean, if it has a bus, it can make a good guess that, oh, that's a large vehicle, probably has more people in it, but it can't know easily, I wouldn't think. Infrared sensors?
Do you have to sign a form saying that you are willing to die in order to save other people in that situation?
Have to be some liability thing like that. You're right. I didn't even think about that. You could waive your right to survival. Yeah, interesting. Good stuff, Harry. Thanks for bringing that up. And thank you, Veronica Belmont, for joining us. As always, a fantastic Monday. What's going on in your world you can tell people about?
You know, snapping.
Just snapping? You and Bodega?
Snapchats, mostly. Veronica Belmont, my Snapchat name. Let's see, what else? Dear Veronica, as always, taking questions on using the Dear Veronica hashtag over on Twitter. And Sword and Laser. We've got a lot of great interviews coming up at swordandlaser.com with many fantastic authors, including the author of The Life Engineer, J.F. Dubois, who's going to be on tomorrow, and whose book is going live, and we're very excited about that. It's part of the Sword and Laser Inkshares collection contest. Our first novel is being published tomorrow.
Yeah, so congratulations to JF on getting selected in our contest, but also getting published and having a real life published book out tomorrow. Check out, keep an eye on the Twitters and maybe even the Snapchats for more information about that. If you're not following Veronica on Snapchat, by the way, hurry up and do it, because you're going to miss her amazing tour of San Francisco that she did by bicycle yesterday. Thank you, support folks, for making this show possible. If you get any value out of the show, all we ask is put a dollar figure on that. I mean, it can be as high as you want, but it doesn't have to be super high. It could be $1 a month. dailytechnewsshow.com/support is the place to figure out how to do that. Patreon.com/DTNS is our main source of funding and the way we can know how much we're going to get every month. And tomorrow is payday from Patreon. So big thanks to everybody who already backs us for making this show possible. You mean the world to us. You've absolutely changed our lives. Speaking of which, March is for meetups. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas for the Diamond Club party on Saturday, March 12th from 2 to 5 p.m. at the Brew Exchange with Justin Robert Young and Brian Brushwood and others as well. And we're going to be doing an LA meetup on Saturday, March 19th, the week after that at 3 p.m. at the Farmers Market by the Grove. Stay tuned on the audio podcast or look in the treasure chest if you're a $5 a month patron for Tech in Travel with Chris Christensen. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com or diamondclub.tv. Visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Patrick Beja. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom. Good
Boom.
show. Good show.
Yeah.
I always mean it, but it was a really good show.
Yeah.
What should we call it?
We didn't talk about as many social issues as we have in the past.
No, took a little break from the policy.
Yeah.
We did bring up the trolley problem, though.
We did.
So that was good.
We did. Roger back.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
hello,
here.
Roger.
All right.
I just clicked on this. Yeah.
So showbot.tv has our titles.
So
Just straight up abominations.
Google car hits bus at 300 baud.
That's funny.
How many HoloLens does it take to change a light bulb?
That was funny.
Abominations. Raspberry Pi 3. Oh. 3,000 HTC vibes for one HoloLens. FBI equals Pandora.
That's not the right math, but it's funny.
Apple versus FBI, pre-trial round 9,000. Microsoft's Holo Promise.
Or is it?
I actually I see both AR and VR being huge in construction for design.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people wrote in about VR, saying they were hoping to use it or already using it in situations like that.
One of the big ones is on complicated projects like a large ship. People who design the plumbing for the ship aren't the same people who design the electrical or who design the bulkheads. And so if you can VR seeing what someone else does, when you design your stuff, it's not going to cut through someone's water main or cut through an electrical junction box. Plus, and this is the big thing, you can kind of figure how tight, fitting something is. Is like, oh, the ceiling's too low, or it's not wide enough.
Well, yeah, that was the point of a guy who works on the North Slope in Alaska, saying the designs will look fine on paper, and then when they build them, there's just there's just the way they fit together in 3D causes problems. He's like, if we can walk around with the engineers beforehand, we can show them like, hey, this isn't actually going to match up over here, which is really cool.
Fascinating.
Windows facials, problems with the level, rearrange your house. Heavy is the head that wears the HoloLens.
That's good.
That one was pretty.
Let me draw on your face, from Shane.
Where is heavy is the head? I don't see it.
Oh, wait. It just moved up.
Yeah.
Oh, it keeps jumping. That's
it keeps jumping because people are voting on it. Right there's number 3.
More, yeah.
I will vote on it because I like it. Actually, HoloLens won't change a light bulb. The person will.
Yeah, I think heavy is the head that wears the HoloLens.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah. Good job, Fred.
Fred with a P.
Frontier pharmacist.
It's so Shakespearean. Heavy is the head that
Does it ruin
wears...
the joke if you say heavy is the head that wears HoloLens?
I would drop the article.
Just give you more characters.
That's a good idea.
Fewer
heavy is the head that wears the crown is so iconic though.
Yeah, so keep it if the context is better that way.
It's not super crazy long. It's okay.
That's super crazy.
Super crazy long.
Well, what it's beyond super crazy? Then it's just like crazy.
Extreme crazy.
That was the 90s, wasn't it? Early 2000s. That was your next. Level of enhancement was extreme.
Extreme.
Super heavy, super crazy turns into extreme crazy.
Same thing I did Friday, where I played the Frog Pants thing, even though I shouldn't have, because I need to put them in an edit after.
On how to make a pizza waffle.
Ooh, pizza waffle sounds good.
Wait a minute, is that a pizza using a waffle as the base?
No, it's a pizza it's a regular pizza that you cook in a waffle iron.
No, terrible idea.
No, it looks amazing.
Terrible.
It's gooing out a lot though. But it looks unreal. It looks so good. Oh my god, it looks so good.
No, you're gonna burn the cheese unless you do like a weird.
No, you cover the top with another roll, so it's like.
So it's not a pizza.
Calzone.
Fine, calzone.
Oh my god, you're so grumpy. You're such a grump.
He just got back from Jersey.
Let's just call it a pizza waffle. Can it just be a pizza waffle?
No.
Yes, it's a pizza waffle.
Like
it's
pizza
pizza's on a waffle. You can have pizza.
In my face.
On a waffle.
I would rather have it in my mouth.
Waffle. Veronica, oh yeah, you were going to mention Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan, are we recording?
Yeah. I mean we're live, so this will be in the video version on
technology works, and he's a troll. He's a stupid technology troll who doesn't understand how the law or technology works.
Who's British?
Hey, you're just name calling though. What did he do?
What did he do? Oh my! Just go look at his. Basically, go look at his Twitter feed from Saturday.
He did a Twitter storm on Saturday.
Yeah.
What did he say? What did he say that so riled you up?
Let's see. What are some of my favorite selections?
So he's pro FBI.
Yes.
Okay. And you can have pizza on Piers Morgan.
A name-calling troll who just clearly doesn't understand anything and just runs his mouth off
Well, because he obviously disagrees with you, but there's something that's making you more upset at him than just his disagreement. I'm
Like,
guessing.
is he supposed to be a journalist? Like, is that...
No, he's a commentator.
He's a personality.
He's a personality.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a presenter, I believe, is what the UK would call him.
Where are his bunch of... Oh, gosh,
We typically call him
tweets
around.
so much.
I think we call him a hanger-on.
FFS. Where are these tweets?
For the sake of fudge.
Okay.
FSF.
He's trying to maintain a
Also, Free Software
profile.
Foundation.
Was why he does what he does.
Is he still on CNN?
Let
or did they
Apple
get rid of
open the damn back
It's off
door.
CNN.
Let the FBI know what's on the phone. Then close it again. This isn't difficult.
Okay, yeah. No, I see. Because you can I think there's a perfectly rational reason to support the FBI. I get that. I don't, but I've heard rational defenses. That is not one. That
Just
saying let them open the back door, they can close it again.
Just let them open the damn back door.
Yeah.
Let the FBI know what's on the phone. Then just close it again. This isn't
you
difficult.
can't just close it again. That's the
No,
point
it's
that-
not difficult.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
your
and then
video
saying
just froze.
Not difficult. It's just ridiculous. I mean, if I had to make an argument for the FBI side, I would say like we'll be very careful with the signed file to make sure that no one else can get to it. And we'll make that the precedent is that very few people can handle it, and we'll make it virtually impossible for it to get leaked out. Like there's arguments you can make. I don't buy those because I know how digital stuff works, and it's almost impossible, as the MPAA can attest, to keep copyable files from being copied. However, that's right. That's a reasonable thing to say. What he's saying is not reasonable. He's saying you just shut the back door.
I think there's just a tremendous.
The FBI isn't even asking for a back door. The FBI is asking for the ability to help brute force a password.
And then he just goes off and off and off about how Bill Gates agrees with me. Bill Gates agrees with me. Well, okay. That comment that Bill Gates made was taken out of context, and Bill Gates later went back and changed his tune a little bit. So I don't know if he so much agrees with you as you are just clinging onto that one article and hoping that gets you through.
No, in fact, the misunderstanding about Bill Gates centered around the fact that he was saying it's not a back door.
Yeah.
Which apparently Piers missed that part.
Yeah, not a back door.
I think that the bigger thing that this all reveals is that if you really want to maintain your security on any device, you need to have a method of securing it on your own without having to rely on.
I mean, honestly, it really comes down
Okay, wait, no, there's more.
Oh.
I could take that terrorist iPhone down to Tottenham Court Road right now, and they'd get into it safely. Apple is lying.
So he's brought himself. Well, no, Apple never said they couldn't get into it. No one ever said it was technically problematic.
Well, I mean, Apple has said that. Well, they have encryption-wise, they have said that they can't break the encryption.
Right, but they haven't denied that they could create the software that the FBI wants.
Yeah, they
haven't denied that the FBI's approach is not a reasonable approach to cracking the password. So it's never been a fight about whether Apple technically could do it or not. It's always been about whether they should do it or not.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's why I'm mad.
My feeling is
3 days later.
The FBI is actually following the right procedure here in what they're asking. I actually don't fault the FBI for asking this. You can argue about what their motivations really are, but this is the right way to ask for this if this is what they want. They're doing it transparently in a court with a search warrant. I think Apple's defense is that you shouldn't be able to compel us to write new software to break into something. And there are other reasons that are why they don't want to, but in this particular case, their defensible legal argument is like we shouldn't be compelled to create something new, a new tool for them, and I think that's reasonable as well. So what Apple should do, and I think it sounds like they're going to do, is create a new security system for the iPhone that makes it a little harder to troubleshoot your iPhone, makes it possible that you could lock yourself out of your iPhone, but allows you to 100% protect your data so that nobody could ever get into it Like, so that Apple couldn't create a signed image file that could brute force the password.
Yeah. Anyway. See, you are a commentator that understands how technology works. Maybe
I do somewhat.
you should take over for Piers Morgan.
Is he on TV?
No,
still?
he's not. He's just
Okay.
he's a personality. He shows up at things.
Okay, so he doesn't have a show anymore.
Have a show?
He doesn't have. He's not on. Well, at least in the U.S., he's not on CNN anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if he is
He
on.
doesn't have anything on his profile.
So-
I don't even know what he does anymore.
He's probably one of
Apparently
those jerks that
cries
just
like
started
a
his
big
own
baby on
podcast.
Twitter.
Everyone, just be super careful what you leave on your phone, and make sure if you really don't want it to be discovered, move it off.
And honestly, if the phone is protected with a 6-letter alphanumeric password or more, the FBI is not going to be able to brute force it anyway.
I just also love that he's like in the Trump school of trolling, where he just retweets everyone who complains at him and then calls them names.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, but
Which is real classy.
Both
But
of them
Trump-
are not the only ones who do that either.
but Trump knows his voter base, so he just panders to it.
What about Ted Cruz? What about Hillary Clinton? What about Bernie Sanders? What about Marco Rubio?
What
Just wanna
should
make
they
sure
do?
We're giving equal time.
Anyway,
I told you how you settle this. You
Settle what?
settle any of the primaries. You
I don't
basically
want to talk about the primaries.
I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to
so
talk about
don't want to
politics.
talk about the
Yeah.
primaries. We could talk about that on East Meets West.
Yeah. Okay.
just do American Gladiators.
I like that idea. That's a good idea.
I'm learning JavaScript.
Yay! Hopefully, when you're done,
Are you
it's
really? That's fantastic.
Because I want to write bots.
you want to write bots.
Yeah.
That's a good reason.
I'm working backwards. Yeah.
I don't think she means spam bots.
I don't
think
mean spam bots.
You mean like clever AI bot.
I mean like Slack bots and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Or like we have chatbot
Yeah.
and showbot.
Yep. Bots like that. I like
so
bots.
many bot.
All right.
You should jot down all your famous quotes.
I guess I should take this bitch to the park.
Really?
She's a bitch. She's
She
a female
means-
dog.
Actually,
Bodega
no.
is
It's
a
actually
female
technically
dog.
she's not.
Oh, because she's fixed.
Yeah.
Damn it. You're right.
Technically
You win
she's
this round,
not.
Roger.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm almost done publishing anyway, so.
Oh, Shane, did you like the answer on Dear Veronica? You're welcome. Tom, do you want to be on Dear Veronica this week?
Sure. You need me to ask a question or answer?
Answer something?
Yeah, sure.
Roger, do you want to answer something?
I
What
can
am
do
I
that.
answering?
I don't know. I haven't picked
Sure.
a question for you yet.
Okay.
Pick me a question.
Just
and
need
I'll
a
tell you.
verbal agreement.
Does it have to be accurate, my answer? Or
Depends on the question.
I will be accurate as humanly possible. Actually,
can I
there's
talk
no,
about the origin of baby carrots?
yeah.
Bebe Carol.
It's all about marketing and his last
Baby
name.
carrot?
Bebe Carol is the creator of the baby carrots.
It was from Quebec, baby carrot.
Bebe.
They have a maple.
All right. I'm actually out of the post.
Yay!
Hooray.
Did I get the belt? Did the chat room give me belt for saying bitch?
Yeah, I think so.
No. Sorry. Whatever.
Are you gonna keep dropping it, just all the way out as you close the door?
Bitch.